Welcome back, friends and fellow Hobbit enthusiasts, to Tea and Tolkien Thursdays. I'm your snarky guide through Middle-earth today, Susie Speckles, also known, for better or worse, as Snarky Susie. And let me just say, if I were a Hobbit, I'd have already eaten 2 breakfasts by now, and am eagerly anticipating a third, of course.
And I'm Tierra McGuire, ready to dive deep into lore, dates, maps, and every obscure Tolkien detail you never asked for but will absolutely get, because a good story is in the details, and Middle-earth has plenty to spare.
Kerrie Chang here, your literary analyst, connecting the dots and maybe overanalyzing Bilbo's life choices. Spoiler alert, I think he's the most relatable character Tolkien ever wrote, showing us that even a simple hobbit can have a truly great adventure.
And I'm Humphrey Goldstein, here to add historical and cultural context, because the hobbits aren't just adorable little folks with hairy feet, they're Tolkien's commentary on English rural life, on war, and on the nature of heroism, and a reminder that even the smallest character can make a difference.
Perfect. Today's episode is all about the life and adventures of Bilbo Baggins, our favorite burglar, reluctant adventurer, and tea-drinking icon. We'll trace his story from his quiet beginnings in the Shire, through his unexpected journey, all the way to his final days in Rivendell, and even explore how his actions forever changed the course of Middle-earth history.
And there's a lot to cover. People forget that Bilbo isn't just the star of The Hobbit, his fingerprints are all over The Lord of the Rings, too. He's the reason Frodo even has the ring. Without him, there is no story, and the fate of Middle-earth would have been entirely different, a much darker one.
So, let's start at the beginning. Bilbo Baggins was born in 2890 of the Third Age. Son of Bungo Baggins and Belladonna Took. Right away, we see the tension in his heritage, as the sensible Baggins side clashes with the adventurous Took blood that always yearned for the world beyond the Shire.
Exactly. The Baggins side represents respectability, stability, a kind of upper-middle-class hobbit life. But the Took side? That's adventure, risk, curiosity. And that tension defines Bilbo's entire character arc, because without the Took in him, he would have simply stayed home, polite and unremarkable, and never gone on his great adventure.
He's basically the English country gentleman who secretly wants to run off with the gypsies, or in this case, dwarves, because a part of him longs for a world with more excitement and less of the suffocating social decorum expected of a respectable member of the Baggins family.
Imagine Bilbo as the kid in school who gets straight A's, but every now and then he shows up with a skateboard and everyone's like, wait, what? That's the Took side peeking out, hinting at a hidden wildness that's just waiting to be set free.
And Tolkien even sets that up in The Hobbit. When Gandalf shows up at Bag End, Bilbo is all, good morning, in the most polite way possible. But within him, there's that Tookish spark. He doesn't want adventure, but he really does. And with a little push, that dormant desire for something more bursts to life, turning his peaceful life upside down in the best possible way.
That's why the Tookish part line is so key. The adventure doesn't change who Bilbo is, it awakens what was already inside him. It gives him permission to embrace the curiosity and courage he inherited, proving that a person can be both a homebody and a hero.
Then, of course, we get the famous dinner scene. 13 dwarves show up, they trash his pantry, sing about smashing dishes, and poor Bilbo is horrified. But Gandalf sees his potential. He's not looking for a warrior, he's looking for a quiet, resourceful person with a knack for staying unseen and a deep-seated curiosity. The entire chaotic event at Bag End isn't just a dinner party, it's Gandalf's calculated way of shaking Bilbo out of his comfortable, respectable life and awakening the hidden Took within.
Oh, that dinner scene is comedy gold. Bilbo's trying to be polite while basically having a breakdown because strangers are eating all his food. That's relatable. Who hasn't had guests show up unannounced and feel a little bit of their carefully curated life unravel? It's the perfect introduction to a character who values his routine and his quiet life, setting up the hilarious and often frustrating contrast with the dwarf's chaotic, uninhibited way of living.
And yet, that's the catalyst. Bilbo is thrust into a world where he's expected to be a burglar for Thorin Oakenshield's company. Which is hilarious, because he has literally zero qualifications. He doesn't know how to pick a lock, he's never snuck past a dragon, and his idea of a weapon is probably a sturdy kitchen ladle. The entire premise is absurd, which is exactly why Gandalf chose him. His lack of traditional heroic qualities is what makes him perfect for a mission that requires a different kind of bravery.
But what he has is courage he doesn't yet know about. And that's Tolkien's whole point. True heroism doesn't come from strength or power, it comes from unexpected places. It's the little guy, the one who doesn't seem to fit the mold, who has the power to change everything. Bilbo's journey is a masterclass in this idea, as he repeatedly relies on his wit, cleverness, and kindness, not a sword, to get out of impossible situations.
And let's not forget the trolls. That's Bilbo's first big failure. He tries to pickpocket them, and it goes horribly wrong. But it's also the first time we see him trying to live up to this burglar role. He's not good at it, and he gets caught immediately, but the attempt itself is significant. It shows a crucial turning point. He's no longer just a spectator to the adventure, he's a participant, willing to put himself at risk even if he's completely out of his depth.
And Gandalf has to step in with his ventriloquist routine, which is both brilliant and ridiculous. It's a classic example of Gandalf's unconventional methods. He doesn't solve problems with brute force, he uses cleverness and a bit of magic. And of course, he's not just saving the dwarfs and Bilbo, he's giving Bilbo another chance to learn from his mistakes and to prove his worth in the journey.
But the failures matter. They shape Bilbo into the hobbit who can later outwit Gollum. The trolls, the goblins, the dark forest, each of these setbacks teaches him to rely on his wits, to think on his feet, and to trust his own instincts. Without that series of clumsy, bumbling failures, he never would have developed the quiet courage and cleverness that saves him in the most critical moment of his journey.
Speaking of which, let's talk about the iconic Riddles in the Dark chapter. This is the turning point of Bilbo's life. Alone in the dark, he's forced to rely on nothing but his own mind, stripped of his comforts and his companions. The riddle game isn't just a literary device, it's a test of his wit and his character, culminating in the pivotal moment he discovers the One Ring, not as a symbol of power, but as a simple, gold object that he pockets out of a desperate, fleeting impulse. This scene solidifies his transformation from a respectable homebody into a true adventurer, capable of both cleverness and moral choice.
Absolutely. He goes from bumbling sidekick to cunning survivor. That riddle game with Gollum is a battle of wits, and Bilbo holds his own. This is the first time in the story he's truly on his own, with no one to save him, and it's where his tookish cleverness fully awakens. He doesn't win with a sword, but with his wits, proving that his quiet ingenuity is just as powerful as any warrior's strength. This single moment transforms him from a reluctant tag-along into a bona fide hero.
And then, the ring. Without even realizing it, he stumbles upon the most powerful artifact in Middle-earth. Classic, oops, I broke history, moment. He doesn't know what he is, or the dark history behind it. To him, it's just a cool, gold ring that makes him invisible. He pockets it out of a desperate instinct, not ambition, and in doing so, he sets the entire epic of The Lord of the Rings into motion, forever changing the course of the world.
What fascinates me is his choice. After winning, he has the chance to kill Gollum. Instead, he feels pity. That single act of mercy changes the fate of Middle-earth. It's not Frodo who starts that legacy, it's Bilbo. In that moment, he doesn't think like a warrior or a thief, but like a hobbit with a good heart. His decision to spare Gollum is a profound moral victory, proving that his character is defined not by how he wins, but by the mercy he shows to a wretched creature. Without that choice, the ring would have never left the cave, and the entire story of its destruction would have never come to pass.
That's why Gandalf later says it was pity that stayed Bilbo's hand. That pity echoes all the way to Mount Doom. It's the moment Bilbo's gentle hobbit nature proves to be a strength, not a weakness. It's a key theme in all of Tolkien's work, the small, seemingly insignificant acts of kindness can have a greater impact than all the armies and swords in the world. Bilbo's act of mercy becomes the very thing that makes Frodo's journey possible.
After that, Bilbo begins to step into his role. He rescues the dwarves from spiders in Mirkwood. He takes the lead with the barrels out of Thranduil's halls. By the time they reach Smaug, Bilbo is the company's MVP. He's no longer the helpless hobbit who was terrified by a few dwarves at his door. He's a confident burglar, a leader, and a hero who has learned to trust his instincts. He even gives himself a name, Ringbearer, a title he doesn't yet know is the most significant in the entire epic. His transformation is complete.
Let's pause and appreciate that moment when Bilbo goes toe-to-toe with Smaug. Like, this is a dragon. A dragon. And Bilbo, who once fainted at the idea of leaving home without a handkerchief, is now trading riddles with a fire-breathing monster. It's the ultimate culmination of his character arc. He's not fighting the dragon with a sword, he's using his most powerful weapon, his mind, and his wit. This scene is the proof of his transformation, showing how far a hobbit can go when he stops running from his destiny and chooses to face it head-on.
That scene is incredible because it shows Bilbo's growth in courage, but also his cleverness. He doesn't fight Smaug with a sword, he fights with words. He's a master of riddles and cunning questions, and he uses that skill to outsmart a dragon centuries older than himself. He's not a warrior, he's a burglar, and his true strength lies in his quick thinking, his ability to go unseen, and his unflappable nerve. This proves that heroism isn't just about swinging a sword, it's about finding the courage to face impossible odds and relying on your own unique skills to overcome them.
And yet, it's bittersweet. Smaug's death sets off the conflict over the treasure, and Bilbo finds himself torn between loyalty to Thorin and his own moral compass. The greedy side of the dwarves, which was always just below the surface, now bursts forth, and Bilbo sees them for what they are, fallible and flawed. His loyalty to his friends is now challenged by Thorin's pride and a growing obsession with the gold. He is no longer just an adventurer on a quest, he is a peacemaker trying to prevent a war.
The Arkenstone is Bilbo's biggest moral stand. He steals it, not for greed, but to broker peace. It's a moment that defines him. He goes from being a follower to a leader, actively trying to prevent a war. He sacrifices his relationship with Thorin, his newfound friend, for the greater good. This decision shows how his adventure has transformed him from a simple hobbit to a truly compassionate and wise individual, capable of putting the needs of others above his own.
Exactly. It's such a reversal of the burglar role. He starts as a thief reluctantly hired to steal treasure, but by the end, he's willingly stealing to save lives. That's character development. The Arkenstone isn't just a physical object, it's a symbolic one. It represents the greed and pride that threatens to destroy the dwarfs, and Bilbo's choice to take it is a rejection of all that. He's no longer the greedy, gold-lusting hobbit the dwarfs might have expected. He's a peacemaker who has found his true purpose on the journey.
Meanwhile, Thorin's like, "How dare you?" and Bilbo's like, "Sir, you are literally dragon-sick right now. Calm down." It's a powerful moment that shows just how much Bilbo has grown. He's no longer intimidated by Thorin or the dwarfs. He has the courage to stand up to them, even in the face of their rage, because he knows he's doing the right thing. He recognizes that Thorin is not in his right mind, and that the only way to save him, and everyone else, is to force him to confront his own greed.
And that leads to the tragedy of Thorin's death. But even there, Bilbo shines. He mourns, but he's not corrupted by greed. He stays true to himself. In their final moments together, Thorin apologizes, calling Bilbo, the hobbit, the burglar, the friend. This powerful reconciliation validates every choice Bilbo made, proving that his compassion and integrity were more valuable than any treasure. He walks away from a mountain of gold with only a small chest of his own, having learned that true wealth isn't measured in coins, but in character.
After the adventure, Bilbo returns to the Shire and discovers he's legally dead. His relatives are auctioning off his stuff. The respectable hobbit society he once craved has turned its back on him, and his belongings, his home, his memories, are being treated as property by those who never understood him. It's a hilarious but poignant homecoming, as Bilbo, who risked his life for adventure, is now faced with the most mundane of battles, reclaiming his life from his petty, unadventurous relatives.
That is peak hobbit pettiness. Imagine surviving dragons, goblins, and spiders, only to come home and fight cousins over silver spoons. It's a perfect, bittersweet coda to his adventure. The world-changing experiences he had are completely lost on his neighbors, who only care about the most mundane, material things. It proves that while Bilbo changed, the Shire did not. He's no longer a hobbit who can fit into the small, predictable world of Bag End. He is a man of two worlds, forever changed by his journey.
But it's also the beginning of Bilbo's alienation. He's no longer the same hobbit. He's seen too much, grown too much. The Shire feels too small. The respectability he once valued now feels like a cage, and the quiet life he once loved feels empty. He's an outsider in his own home, and that feeling of being a stranger in a strange land is what ultimately leads him to leave the Shire for good. The adventure gave him a life he never expected, but it also took away the one he thought he wanted.
And that's why, decades later, he entrusts Frodo with the ring and leaves for Rivendell. He's restless. The Tookside never lets him go. His life in the Shire, so carefully built, can no longer contain the adventurer he has become. He knows that his time with the ring has left a mark, and that the only place he can truly be at peace is in the company of elves, surrounded by the magic and history that he now understands so well. He passes the burden on to Frodo, not out of malice, but out of a deep understanding that he has done all he can, and that it is now time for a new chapter in his life, and in the history of Middle-earth.
In Rivendell, he becomes a lore keeper, a translator, even a kind of proto-scholar. His role shifts from adventurer to storyteller. He spends his days chronicling his adventures and translating ancient Elvish texts. He's no longer the protagonist of his own story, he's the historian and chronicler for the next generation. He has a front-row seat to the unfolding saga of the Ring, and though he wishes he could do more, he's found a new purpose in preserving the history and wisdom that he helped to discover. His journey is complete, and his legacy lives on through his words.
Which is perfect, because Bilbo's final gift to the world is his story, the There and Back Again memoir. Without him, we wouldn't even have this legendary story. He may not have been the strongest or the most powerful, but his act of writing it all down cements his place in history. He passes his tale on to Frodo, who in turn passes it on, ensuring that the legacy of a simple hobbit who changed the world with an act of pity and a little bit of courage will live on forever.
And finally, in the Lord of the Rings we see Bilbo's twilight years. Old, weary, still witty, but the ring has taken its toll. He's diminished, but he's also at peace once it's gone. His journey is complete, and he finds his final rest in the peaceful sanctuary of Rivendell, and then, at the end, in the Undying Lands. He carries the scars of his adventure and the burden of the ring, but in the end, he is finally able to find the rest and healing that he deserves.
His final journey to the Undying Lands with Frodo, Gandalf, and the elves is so poignant. He began with an unexpected journey, and he ends with a final, eternal voyage. It's the perfect ending for a character who was forever changed by his adventure. He finally gets to find the peace and healing that the Shire could no longer provide, and he leaves the world he saved behind. It's a quiet, beautiful conclusion to a life that started so simply, proving that even the most ordinary of lives can have the most extraordinary of endings.
Bilbo's arc shows us that the smallest person can indeed change the course of the future. That's Tolkien's core theme. The entire saga of Middle-earth doesn't hinge on kings or powerful wizards, but on the quiet integrity and humble courage of a hobbit. Bilbo's journey proves that true heroism comes not from brute force, but from wit, compassion, and the choices we make when no one is watching. His story is a powerful reminder that the most significant acts of bravery are often the most simple.
And also, that it's okay to love tea, books, and second breakfasts, and still be a hero. Relatable goals. Bilbo's story is a beautiful reminder that you don't have to give up your simple pleasures to do extraordinary things. You can be both, a lover of good food and a world-saving hero, a creature of comfort and an adventurer at heart. His life shows us that being a hero isn't about fitting a specific mold, it's about embracing who you are, hairy feet and all.
So, to sum up, Bilbo Baggins starts as a comfort-loving hobbit, grows into a reluctant but true hero, and ends as a wise, bittersweet figure whose choices shape all of Middle-earth. He proves that the smallest person, motivated by wit, compassion, and a hint of Tookish restlessness, can change the fate of the world.
His story reminds us that heroism isn't about strength or power, it's about courage, mercy, and staying true to yourself. It's an inspiring lesson that resonates with us today, a reminder that the greatest acts of bravery can be found in the quietest and most unexpected of places.
And it's about being willing to leave your front door, even when every part of you wants to stay home. His journey teaches us that the greatest adventures often begin with a single step, and that true growth happens when we dare to venture beyond our comfort zone.
Well said. And if you love these kinds of deep dives into Tolkien, and let's be real, who doesn't, then you need to check out the Princess Toy Nerd YouTube channel. They've got amazing content on fantasy, fandom, and all things nerdy. Seriously, subscribe. Tell them Snarky Susie sent you.
And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, too. Next week, we're unpacking Frodo's journey, why he's not just Bilbo 2.0, but a completely different kind of hero.
Bring tissues. I'm warning you now. The ending is so poignant, you'll feel it deeply.
Until then, friends, whether you're setting out on a journey or staying in with tea, remember Bilbo's words, it's a dangerous business, going out your door.
But also, don't forget your handkerchief.